Well, the theme I understood for this orientation program was all about soft skills training. And when Dr. Nanjan Swami asked me, Madam, the theme itself is on soft skills. So you could, you know, engage a session on any aspect of soft skills. I felt that we as teachers, importantly, need to understand the ways, the approaches of imparting soft skills training to our students, as well as give you some insight on how we could go about evaluating the soft skills. See, I would have loved to have had a offline session to do a soft skills training program. But quite unfortunately, we are constrained to deliver this online. So this becomes a kind of a monotony, and also it constrains us from using some of the instruments, behavioral instruments, to impart knowledge on approaches to teaching soft skills and evaluation. Nevertheless, I will try and go extempore on this topic per se. Well, the ground pillars of the national education policy, which we call as the fundamental pillars, are access, equity, quality, affordability, and accountability. So in line with these fundamental pillars, the 2030 agenda for sustainable development seeks to to transform or to see a knowledge society. I must say a thriving knowledge society, as also see that we are in par with the global knowledge superpower. So NEP recognizes the importance of skills. Before we actually go into this, just to break the ice, and we as teachers, we have by choice come into this teaching profession. I want you all to give me, in not more than 5 words, a word each, 5 important components of education. Can somebody tell me, share with me with this? 5 important components of any education.
All-round development of the personality.
Wonderful. Yeah. Others, please. See, there is
building up the life.
Pardon me?
Building up our personal life. Building our personal life.
Life. Owning life skills, let us say. I will reframe all your thoughts. Please go ahead and tell me, please. Somebody said personality development. Somebody said, building our personal lives. I call that through life skills. Anything else?
Distribution of knowledge.
Yes. To impart knowledge. Wonderful. I think Dr. Shreyas made a very pertinent point. Go on, please.
To know things better way.
Yes. To mean that have a greater clarity on the concepts. If I'm making sense. Yes, Dr. Sachin?
To an extent, character building as well.
Character building, yes, very, very important. Character building is an important component. So, just put it in a nutshell. Concepts are important. Knowledge of these concepts is important. Skills are important. Attitudes are important. And action is required. So concepts, knowledge, skills, attitudes, and action constitute the components of education. Now I will use a funnel approach and come to just the skills. Within the skills, we will talk about hard skills. We will talk about soft skills. But my emphasis would be on soft skills. So the National Education Policy 2020 recognizes the importance of soft skills. Now, in the last 2 days, having soft skill as the theme, you must have, you must have heard so much on the soft skills. Quickly, can I have a repository, an inventory of various soft skills? Yes, please, the audience.
Ma'am, the level of confidence, interpersonal relationships,
Wonderful.
how we deal with others.
Good.
Communication skills.
Yes. You could list scores of them. Come on.
Problem solving, communication.
Absolutely, yes.
Stress management, public speaking.
Okay. You said dress management, is it?
Stress management.
Stress management.
Stress management.
Okay, stress management. Dress management is also one part which we call as etiquettes. That's one thing. Okay, I heard it as dress management, nevertheless. Then, yes, stress management. And what else did you say? Along with stress management, you said one more thing.
Public speaking.
Public speaking.
Public
Wonderful. Yeah, public speaking skills. Then go on. Like, you have scores of them to share. I know it's an afternoon session and quite the most ideal time to have a nap. Nevertheless, I want you all to, be a part of my discussion. So you have n number of these soft skills. It could be with respect to what you have not said. I mean, with respect to teamwork, with respect to decision-making skills, with respect to analytical thinking and critical thinking. It could be with respect to resilience. It could be, with respect to life skills. It could be with respect to assertiveness skills, or, mechanism for, building relationship through communication. Okay. Or it could be, it could also deal with analyzing transactions between individuals to see from which ego state they, undertake the discussion. It could be with respect to time management. It could be with respect to collaboration, synergy, leadership. You could also relate it to, as one of our friends said, interpersonal or even intrapersonal communication. There could be aspects of emotional intelligence, attitudinal transformation, creativity, negotiation skills. N number, you can keep thinking, it goes on. Perceptions, paradigm shifts, okay, where you're talking about transformation. It could be with respect to, your own blocking behavior, receiving and giving feedback. That's also an important skill. Handling conflicts. Somebody said, one of my friends here already said that it also deals with handling difficult people. There could be soft skills could also be with respect to conflict management. As my friend Shobha said, it could be on stress management. It could be on personal change. It could be on anger management. It could be simply on listening skills. So you have an array of soft skills that we can, first of all, we need to learn. as well as impart them in our day-to-day classroom to students. Now, the initiative of this NEP 2020 works with an approach where the academic knowledge is imparted. Okay, it encourages the college to deal with, despite shortage of teachers, to deal with imparting this soft skill education across campuses. So the policy also recommends reaching out to maybe local eminent persons who are experts, who are master instructors. And, this is an opportunity at once to you, me, and those of us who are interested and passionate to deliver soft skills. So you could get identified as a soft skills trainer for the schools and colleges in and around where your workplace. Now, see, here we have teachers from multidisciplinary background. I wonder from which are the streams. Now, how many of you here are from the science stream? Can you just tell me which is the science background that you come from? Science stream.
Physics, ma'am.
Mathematics.
Okay, we have
Chemistry.
Dr. Anand Rao from
Mathematics.
physics. We have Dr. Shreyas from
Chemistry.
chemistry. Okay, chemistry.
Chemistry.
Yeah.
Madam
So-
Shobha from mathematics.
From mathematics. Okay, Shobha is from mathematics. So you would agree with me that for a long time, education is dominated by discussion of the hard sciences, with great emphasis that is placed on science, technology, engineering, mathematics in the instructions. Now, this has left the teachers of other subjects, say for example, arts, history, or commerce, feeling a little left out of the conversation surrounding how to adequately prepare students for future careers. Our school education has been predominantly driven by hard sciences, and only as the student goes into higher degrees and higher echelons of education, does this aspect of soft skill gets to be recognized as an important element. So even in the higher education, you will find that the soft skills are less discussed. The pity is that the students need to succeed once they're out of college and once they enter into the workforce. They need these soft skills to succeed. There are rarely classes that are designed specifically for soft skills. Now, let's just take an example. Let's take stock of our own teachers. How many of the teachers here who are present have gone through a structured laboratory training? I call it laboratory because it is not a one-off, one day, you listen to a lecture and, you garner some inputs. How many of you have gone through a very structured laboratory training in soft skills? You see, the answer is
No.
almost nil. Yeah. That being so, how would you expect us as teachers, I mean, including myself amongst you all, how could we as teachers be able to, impart soft skills training to our students? Because education is about not just giving them degrees and qualification, it is about all-round development of the student. When you talk about all-round development, we are talking from every context. So imparting life skills is just as important. It is so important to equip them with emotional skills. Now, when we are not trained, how do we as teachers, how could our education system by itself expect that we deliver? You see, soft skills include talents such as creative problem solving that are distinguished from hard skills. Okay, soft skills refers to non-technical abilities, which you all told me so many things. It could include communication, leadership, teamwork, self-awareness, empathy, okay, emotional intelligence, so on and so forth. So these essential soft skills for teachers are often overlooked in colleges, but they are very, very vital for teachers to succeed. Now let's look at this hard skill versus soft skills. See, hard skills as opposed to soft skills are the types of skills that the students routinely get taught in school. You see, they are skills that are easily quantifiable. For instance, a student performs well in school, then he receives high marks, he gets good grades, and eventually is awarded a qualification or degree that demonstrates what is the level of mastery that he has attained in particular skills. So easy to check the degree of mastery over these skills because they are quantified, graded, and can be easily looked up to. But soft skills are harder to quantify. Now, while you can hand out certificates of skills, say like leadership, yes, the individual would have gone through leadership training. But how do you actually quantify leadership? In maths, say for example, a grade of 90 can easily be checked and verified. So quantifying and verifying these subjects becomes easy. Soft skills cannot be quantified, and verifying this with the same ease is rather difficult. However, see, the soft skills are still incredibly important. I would like to reiterate that because their success to a great extent depends on soft skills. So the schools and colleges still need to communicate these topics to students and bring that awareness in them. Now, when students say move beyond schools and colleges into their careers, there'll be a list of soft skills that they need to display, demonstrate. Now, hard skills might be listed such as, say, data analysis or mathematics, but when you're applying for a job, okay, after your degree, it is not enough if you just make sufficient grades in a particular subject. The student's soft skills is examined. There will be an element of, I must say, a detailed orientation itself. Because hiring managers look both at the hard skill as well as the soft skills. So it is important that the activities within the classroom are such that you are able to teach both the hard skills as well as the soft skills. Since most important, students will never find the opportunity to take specialization, say in teamwork per se, in creating synergy or initiating collaboration. It becomes the onus of the teacher to integrate the instruction of soft skills into their existing courses and curriculum. Some of the examples of these soft skills. Now, how can we use some of these soft skills? See, every job will prioritize different soft skills. Okay. For somebody in the nursing would require compassion, would require empathy. Somebody, an employee, in the manufacturing, for example, will prioritize on time management and things like that. So you will see that the priorities of different skills would be for different kinds of profession. And the most frequently identified and necessary skill for all workforce comes invariably in the ambit of soft skills. Many times these broad soft skills encompasses the smaller skills. Now these smaller skills help prepare a student to successfully work in broader categories. It could be in the form of communicating with bosses or sending reports to the higher ups, or it could be in terms of garnering support from their fellow colleagues. It could be in the form of teamwork. So as some of my friends rightly said, that soft skills would encompass public speaking, interpersonal skills, communication skills, stress management, time management, leadership, conflict management, decision making, so on and so forth. Now, communication skills per se are important because even if someone is highly skilled in their field, they still need to help the organization succeed. Now, it is required that they will have to translate their mission into strategies, into objectives, policies, procedures, rules, budget, so many of these things. So it doesn't matter how well they perform their individual job. If they can't communicate what they are doing to others, then they are at a big loss. So when communication breaks down, people tend to get confused. Now, this could be about what has been done or what needs to be done or what are the things that are due to be done. Now, this can lead to projects failing because communication comes to a halt. See, in communication, what is said and what is not said both conveys a meaning. In fact, they say management is managing message. Effective communication requires you to be strong listeners. So with communication goes the listening skills. Now they need to be, able to understand where others stands, empathize with them. Maybe it could be with regards to finishing a project. So good communicators listen and respond. They ensure that everyone in a team has a solid understanding of the work that still needs to be performed. Going to creativity, for example. Now, this is one of the most underrated skills for people to possess. That is the skill of creativity. You see, people get accustomed to working, within timelines to match certain rules and routines. They get accustomed to conventional mechanisms of work. While this is sufficient for dealing with most work issues from one day or on a day-to-day basis, you also need to be able to develop novel ideas, develop innovative solutions to novel problems. So here the creative individual is able to work within the framework, within the limits set forth by the organization in such a way that they are able to conceive new approaches. Okay. Now this may help improve the way the organization responds to rising issues. So those who have a solid sense of creativity and innovation tend to become problem solvers. They will have an ability to understand the problem, conceptualize the problem in front of them, and suggest ways, suggest solutions that have maybe previously been used. They will have an understanding of the issue, the previous responses. They make an analytical view of the whole thing. They are creative in the assessment process, what resources are available, how to develop new approaches to solving problems within their organization. They will set their minds, they will incubate, they will set their minds and focus on solving a problem in an innovative manner. Then let's look at adaptability, for example. Now, this is a skill that any student will use from schools and colleges through their careers, because the ability to adapt to any given situation is most important. Now, we are all in a state of flux. We won't work in the same cohort that we have studied together. The people at workplaces are different. We will not work in the same norms that we have otherwise been subjected to. Norms vary, the workplace varies, the bosses vary. So you will see that we are constantly adapting ourselves to varying situations. So one of the purposes of schools and colleges is to get the students used to ways of working, that is routine of a day's work. For example, children, when they are taught to focus on studies from, say, morning 9 o'clock to 4 o'clock, the children are set to a kind of routine. They are being conditioned to focus on or concentrate on work. So also, when they enter into their careers, they will have to work on a regular schedule that is accorded with set hours. So you will see that it becomes easy for students to get used to this kind of a structure and routine of a normal day's work. However, they need to be able to adapt themselves to face novel circumstances. Situations of crisis and uncertainty can come. When there is a sudden change that occurs, say an unanticipated problem arises, it can leave the student baffled. He may not be able to effectively respond to a changing situation. So the students learn, it is our responsibility to ensure that the student learns to be more adaptable. They become better situated to respond to maybe a wide range of problems. And a student who learns how to adapt quickly to changing conditions, maybe within the college, is better suited to respond in the workplace, say when the problem arises. Now, talking about, say, public speaking. Public speaking stands apart from the general communication, the colloquial, the oral communication that we do. Going on stage and standing before the podium is an altogether cup of tea. The formal language that you use, the delivery, the diction, the style, the connotations, the facial countenance, the voice modulation, everything is important. So, public speaking requires its own unique set of communication skills. Now, this we can impart in students by giving them an opportunity to come on stage and present, deliver whatever inputs that they have, where they use their indigenous thoughts. They could be, encouraged to opinionate in classrooms. So, when talking in front of others, people need to be very confident in their presentation. They need to be clear in conveying the message. They need to use, say, solid logic in the presentation. While all this, while they are under pressures. The pressure is one of being watched by others. So an effective public speaker understands the audience to whom he or she is speaking. He structures his presentation, how to speak to them. For instance, if you are speaking to a highly technical audience, then there is a need to use the lingo that the audience understands. The language can be technical to match the audience and maybe focus on processes that were developed to solve organizational issues. However, say for example, if it is a business-oriented audience, then maybe you need to use lesser technical jargons and language and focus more tightly on what solutions were developed and how they benefited the organization. So maybe here you will also, it's very important to add humor into your maybe workshops or humor into your speeches so that you make the audience, you keep the audience enticed. Then come to teamwork, for example. Now, the nature of the classroom lends itself to helping develop the soft skills of teamwork. Sometimes, we as teachers have the liberty and the autonomy to, change the seating arrangements in a way that students face each other. They sit in a U form when it is, when you want it to be, when you want to have a collective discussion and, when you want student participation, maybe in an executive style. So you can always rearrange the seating positions. Now, teamwork requires that the student interact with one another towards completing a singular goal. Now, this is something that they'll often have to face in the workplace. They'll have to go and attend meetings. They'll have to, make presentations. They will be asked to, resolve organizational issues where you will have to, speak to the audience, conduct, say, an open forum meeting, get their feedback, be open for discussion, be open to disagree as agree to disagree. So all this would require that that the team, rather that the that the organization, here in your context, the college provides an environment where you encourage collective working so that you create what is called as synergy. Synergy is 1 + 1 is equal to 11. It may not be logical, but certainly psychological. Together, effectively, we achieve more is the principle of synergy. So effective teamwork draws together a number of other skills. Each individual is resourceful in a particular skill. Draw them together. Somebody may be good in communicating, somebody else may be good in interpersonal skills, somebody else may be a harmonizer, and somebody else may be very analytical and critical to provide feedback. So get them all together. So part of the teamwork, you must understand, involves the working together of the hierarchy of that group. Now, some people have assertive leadership style. They may be comfortable organizing how the group will meet their goals, okay, by stating facts and figures. Others may be passive individuals who would prefer to remain in the background. They would want to focus on certain technical details and work within the guidelines and framework that has been set. And then you could have individuals who adopt an aggressive style, and that could be their own personal style of ensuring that this could be when they are highly competent, or it could also be when, when they suffer from inferiority complex. You try to put over your superiority, present your superiority in a way that it covers up for your lacuna. So regardless of the individual's own personal styles, individuals who learn teamwork skills learn also how to use the personal style for the good of the group at large rather than for their own good. So the subduing one's selfish ends for the larger good of the group is learned through teamwork. And then there could be several activities that you and I as teachers can engage in. Unfortunately, when it comes to teaching, some instructors fail to think of ways where they can integrate these skills into the classroom. Many of you may actually be doing this, sometimes unconsciously or sometimes consciously, you would be driving these skills. But there are also individuals who maybe because of lack of training, sometimes lack of passion, may fail to to transform these skills to students. In many cases, the soft skills are picked up by students in varying degrees, just through classroom activities and interaction. This is where we as teachers need to be very careful while we are modeling them. In fact, we as teachers are seen as models, and we are the first point of contact. Children, apart from parents and family, tend to watch us closely and imbibe some of our good and bad. Sometimes even the ugly is being, imbibed. Now, there are several specifically designed training programs for imparting life skills, soft skills, and children must be exposed to these activities where the students will learn the soft skills that will serve them for a lifetime, for their career, during their careers. See, when you talk about soft skills training, now there are many type of training programs which are imparted to provide, say, opportunities for you where you can transfer that learning in workplace, which has led to a lot of success. Major skills include communication, teamwork, networking, professionalism, enthusiasm, attitudes, problem solving, critical thinking. Now, each skill is taught using a separate pedagogy, a separate approach, depending upon the context in which you are learning and the context in which you are going to transfer this learning. As only one example, say the curriculum for communication skills includes several activities that students can participate, where they improve their ability to communicate effectively. Say, for example, in one activity, students are asked to enact a short play, okay, and say one of them is asked to play the role of a worker, while another is required to play the role of a superior or a boss. And the worker receives feedback from the students who are watching them enact the play. And you will see that once the play is over, the students are also allowed to ask several questions about their interaction. Now, how did you as teachers can assess, how did the first student respond to the feedback? How did the second student, say, communicate his or her concerns? So you are, as a moderator, you are giving insights and inputs into these students. Now, one more example that includes teaching the skill of professionalism. See, one of the activities that you could present before the student would be ask the student to, depict different image of different people who and enact their roles. Say for example, it is the case of applying for a job. So you will have different, the characters involved would include individuals with different backgrounds, different ethnicity, and different mindsets. So one image may include someone with earrings and studs, one ear pierced. They could have tattoos all over their body. Another individual could be an older individual, say for example, physically challenged and is on a wheelchair. So the student can be asked to reflect on the perception that the people might have about these people. So the interviewers may ask each individual different questions based on the image they present, for better or worse. So you can actually get the students to start talking, communicating, where the student would be comfortable to demonstrate their skill. That is how they learn confidence. That is how they learn how to give up fears. Students might also be asked why the older individuals, Andre, you throw a question to them, you ignite them to think and speak. So you ask them a question, why is it that the older individuals might be reluctant to apply for a particular job? Could it be because of fears that their managers will be younger than them? So you are putting a thought into their mind to reflect on it, to critically examine. So these questions are designed around the idea of getting students to think about issues which they would have otherwise not thought of. They might not even, they wouldn't even have had awareness, or it may not have struck to them that this will arise in the workplace. It could be issues with respect to age gaps. It could be issues with respect to appearances. It could be issues with respect to favoritisms, biasness, so on and so forth. You see, I recently had designed several training programs emphasizing primarily 7 skills: one of integrity, communication, courtesy, responsibility, professionalism, flexibility, teamwork, for the staff of JSS University. And I did run a few programs. The teachers there were asked, what is that area, that skill set that they feel is most important for them, which they could transfer through their instructions in the classroom. There are, for teachers, if they are passionate and want to learn, there are several resources, even on the net. You can refer, you can look up to that. They can try to integrate the soft skills instructions into their teaching. For instance, there can be links where the teacher can use some of the soft skills specifically. Say for example, when you're delivering soft skills among students with disabilities. Now, approaches to disabled students include, for example, encouraging more conversations between families in the home, or introducing the students to people who are different from them, giving them the confidence that they are just as good, building trusting relationships. So the first task can help improve the communication skills, and the second can also improve their confidence to communicate more comfortably with others. I could just say, simply put, it develops their interpersonal skills. Now, other resources that the trainer can often include in the broad range of soft skills is through varying pedagogies that can be useful to the individuals in being able to understand the concepts. It could be through videos, it could be through demonstrations, it could be through certain advantages as to why a particular soft skill is important in a workplace, or in a gathering, or in a group. link the discussions about how soft skills are applied once a person, implements or brings that learning into effect and sees the advantage. So where he or she can glorify their experience. So resources could also include documents about for example, why personal appearance is important, how it factors in workplace success, what are the resources that the teachers can lay their hands on so that their students are able to understand the importance of soft skills, particularly communication. I still remember as a teenager, ಇದನ್ನ ಯಾತಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸಾರಿ ಇಫ್ somebody doesn't know Kannada. In between, I'm just using one or two words. See, when I was a teenager, I remember I was a good debater. I used to participate in various debate competition, and this must have been in my high school. I remember that the day I was going to speak in a debate competition, it so happened that my footwear got torn, and at that point of time, I did not have a spare one. So immediately what I did was I rushed to my neighbor, and I said, I was a very small girl, maybe in my 14 15 years. I went to my neighbor and I borrowed her slipper. I remember I was wearing a jeans midi, and the slipper that I was offered was the traditional kind which is generally worn by homemakers of middle class families. I became so conscious about my footwear that when I went onto the podium, despite clarity of context, I fumbled. Just to say, for the want of a horseshoe, the battle was lost, all for the want of a horseshoe nail. See, many times our children, however confident they are, sometimes the situations would be such that they may fall short of their confidence levels too. Somewhere something could pull them. Now we should make our students strong individuals, irrespective, to be able to go up the stage and deliver, irrespective of what the world thinks or what the world views you as. Creating and developing that kind of a strong personality in an individual is so very important. Giving them the confidence that you are the best and that you are capable of delivering. You have a great potential in you. See, these words by themselves, a pat on the back given by a teacher, is enough to take them 3 feet up. So as teachers, I think we all need to be very, very sensitive to motivating the children. Not at a young age, the children are not internally driven. They need external reinforcement. They want us to recognize them. Just calling them by their names itself would be something that is so gratifying for the students, because they feel that, yes, this teacher knows me by my name. Well, let me go to the next aspect, the time management activity. Now, time management is something that all students should learn, since they'll need to use this both in schools, colleges, and when they have entered a job force. So students have to learn to balance different class assignments in colleges. They may have 100 reasons and excuses, and we as teachers should not adopt popular means or methods of trying to excuse them. We are there to condition them to learn to adapt themselves to situations where they are tightly scheduled, situations of crisis, and the student must be put through that pressure and difficulty in order that they learn how to balance different job duties. The time management challenge can actually help students learn how to respond to these challenges. The challenge is straightforward. Say, let us talk about the activities. Say the teacher writes a list of different activities and gives certain weightage for these activities. So each activity is weighted by assigning a certain number of points to them. The teacher should take care to come up with enough activities to take up, say, at least more than 10 minutes. And finally, the student is formed into class, category. You categorize them, you form them into groups, give them a copy of the activities, and then it's up to the students to collect as many points as possible within the 10-minute limit. So this activity is actually good for few reasons. First, it asks the students to work together, emphasizing that the same teamwork that it is the same kind of teamwork that they'll need to demonstrate in the workplace. Second, students need to communicate in order to win the challenge. Their objective is to optimize and accumulate maximum points. So there must be cohesiveness within the group. The third reason, of course, is to tell them why it's a successful activity is because it asks the students to balance the list of challenges against the time limit. So they learn how to prioritize these activities. What is urgent, what is important, which has to come when, and what is it that will create the largest value for them. So against these activities, the students are given a time limit within which they need to complete. So this challenge can be adapted to almost any class. The limits can, of course, be longer. It could be more than 10 minutes. But the tasks that you include must be justified. They must be specific tasks that the students need to complete. Say, for example, looking up for some historical information, or say completing a quick write-up of a specific topic on hand. So it's up to the teacher to properly balance the time limit, the activities, and the points that are awarded. Next, we will go into active listening, Now that is an activity. We know that good listening habits help the students to communicate in a better fashion. So teaching active listening is fundamental to preparing the students for the workplace. Now, when I say that, we as teachers, first of all, needs to demonstrate active listening. Many of us, with all our enthusiasm to be of help to the student, don't even listen to their problems or the issues in toto. We tend to take up directive counseling without even giving a ear to their problems. So we should encourage active listening in students by teaching them, demonstrating ourselves by being active listeners. It is possible to make them learn active listening by ensuring that the student is highly engaged in listening to a particular topic. Students, as an activity, you can pair off students where one student acts as a communicator and the other as a listener, and the person who listens will have to reconfirm what is being conveyed. So generally, students here adhere to the principles of, say, an activity where the one student clearly communicates what the teacher has instructed, and then gives further instructions to the individual who is listening. Students are required to use a non-judgmental approach. They can be allowed to probe questions. They should be, first of all, there is a need for the student to understand the topic, otherwise they're going to waylead them. So in actual practice, one student may be asked to speak on a certain topic, The topics can be randomized. You can use a deck of cards, each card containing a particular topic. The speaking student can, can start off his presentation while the rest of them listen, and then you could ask them to respond with feedback, engage them deeply in interactions and conversations, and allow people to follow it up with appropriate questions. So this activity can be adopted in the classroom in certain ways. Students might be assigned random topics, but they may be given little time in the class to research. Maybe on that topic, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you can discuss, you can seek, you can use your iPads or your mobile, and then get back. The topics can be anything from literature to engineering. Get them to speak. This can help them develop some quick research skills. They know where to source the data from, where to look for things. Then allow the students to make his or her presentation. Now, this presentation, again, they could use, making PowerPoint presentation is an art. You could get them to use a lot of animation, use possibly all the, inbuilt, what do you say, inbuilt features, so that they make the presentation very meaningful and enticing. So student exchange roles can also be incorporated, where the listener becomes the speaker and the speaker becomes the listener randomly. Then an important part of active listening activity is the use of is to allow the students to ask questions. Listeners should pay attention to the questions, and they must respond with logical answers. They must, this may require them to explore the topic sufficiently, look deeper into the topic, keep the communication active. This active communication will help them to improve some of the learning outcomes, like, say, emphasizing on research tools, emphasizing on communication on a concept, or giving clarity on a concept, or just active listening to better understand the new information that is being provided. Next, I will shortly tell you about varying contexts. See, we as teachers come across all kinds of students. See, it's a very heterogeneous group, one. Secondly, children come from different backgrounds, different ethnicity, from, with different languages, they're different mother tongues. They come from different social strata. And more importantly, they could also be individuals or students who suffer from some kind of emotional distress or have some behavioral disorders. You can see that in the classroom. When you notice such a condition exists, where the behavior or emotional responses of an individual in the classroom or college is slightly different from the generally accepted, or I must say, that which is appropriate to their age, ethnicity, or say cultural norms, and you find that something is adverse, which is affecting the performance of the individual. It could be in the areas of, say, self-care, or in the areas of social relationship, or they may be suffering from self-esteem. Then it is important that you identify this behavioral disorder or that emotional disability. Now, this is nothing but, see, identifying is the biggest, I must say, the biggest task. Once you know that the individual is suffering from an inability to build or maintain, say, satisfactory interpersonal relationship, either with their peers or with their teachers, then there is a cause for concern. You and I need to pay special interest and focus to maybe counsel the student. The child may be suffering from, say anxiety disorders, or the child may have bipolar disorders. You may see eating disorders, or you may even see obsessive compulsive disorders. So it is important to identify. So the keenness with which we observe, the care we provide through our interactions. Now, all this is very important because it is this that will enable us to identify, some of those students who need help. Some of the effective teaching strategies when students suffer from behavioral issues is, as teachers, we need to provide a calm environment. We now we can't, throw up some kind of anxiety ourselves. We need to provide a calm environment, where you are in effect giving some element of confidence and building some kind of trust with the individual who is subject to such behavioral disorder, or who suffers from some behavioral issues. Minimize the distractions so that the child is able to focus or even listen to you. Esto sala, when you make the child stand up and ask them something, maybe they're so caught up with looking at you into your eyes and face that they may forget for what they have stood up. That was the kind of fear and elements of fear that children have. Not all children are endowed with dynamism. Not all children are endowed with, the strength, the confidence, and the esteem to stand up. So, students who are less endowed, less favored, need to be given special attention. For such children, you try to emphasize on the routine. Don't take them to novel things. Let them first get accustomed to the routine. Emphasize the routine. And you must remember that not all are brilliant. You must ensure that your behavioral expectations should reflect the behavioral abilities of the students. You must focus on assisting the students rather than disciplining them. You have to use motivation in the place of control. You have to provide a timeout for such individuals within a group, so that you make the student feel sure, make the student feel safe. You try and keep the class activities as simple and as clear as possible. And importantly, keep giving or rewarding positive behavior. So when you are sensitive, just as I already told you, an eye contact or a positive reinforcement is enough to make the individual feel recognized and important. So where need be, just to hold on their concentration, give them mini breaks. And very, very importantly, rise above religion, caste, creed, stereotyping, all that. Fair treatment to all the students is very, very important. And where possible, use motivational strategies. So the role of a teacher in emotional development is very, very important. That is why they say that today, the prayer says, Guru Brahma, Guru Devo Maheshwara. Now, we must be deserving for that prayer. Teachers are required to play the role of caregivers. They should promote a student's social and emotional health. They must establish trusting relationships. They must express warmth. They must express affection. They must show respect. This will instill confidence in the students. So, teachers can intentionally, consciously teach, model, and reinforce positive behaviors. So, this is just an insight into the approaches to teaching soft skills. Now, if you have any questions, I'm open for questions. See, continuously from 2 to 3:10, I have been talking. Huh? And I only gave 5 minutes, presuming that, not many of you may come forward, to talk. You must please feel free to interact. The whole session can be more meaningful only when there is interaction, and not a one-sided, monotonous, rhetoric delivery.
Madam, thank you for such an interesting insights on skill enhancement. Could you also please share something related to more sort of a theoretical approaches, behavioral theoretical approaches that we could opt for in terms of applying it in our teaching?
Absolutely. My second half of the session, which I'm continuing from 3:45 to 5, would be about how to apply this soft skills on students.